Welcome to our QPR Preview Show ahead of the long trip north to face unbeaten Blackburn Rovers in another 12:30 kickoff. QPR coming to the match unbeaten in the league themselves since the opening day, but were perhaps lucky to have got a point against Millwall last weekend. There was lots to criticise from that match, lots for QPR to improve upon, and we're going to be delving into some of the tactics shortly. And I want to preface that by saying it will be quite negative. It was a poor performance, but we can only comment on what's in front of us, and we will get to the bigger picture and recognise that later on in the show. But firstly, Dave, what were your overall thoughts on the draw with Millwall?
Yeah, it was a really frustrating game. I thought performance-wise, it was really similar to Sheffield Wednesday. I didn't think we were very good at Sheffield Wednesday either, but because we scored late, it felt better. Um, we were just really negative on the ball and didn't really do anything all game. Really, the goal come out of the blue, to be honest. And Millwall, we spoke about Millwall last week being physical and they were going to be a challenge. I thought they played us off the park at times, played some good football and should have won the game comfortably. They missed some really good chances and the main positive is we didn't get beat. We come away with a point, but I thought we were pretty fortunate to in the end. It was a poor performance.
Yeah, pure and simple, Millwall deserved to win. The goal we scored show how simple it can be to play some good stuff and break the lines, but I can't even think of one other 5-10 pass move in the Millwall half. Their goalkeeper had nothing to do really. I know Anderson had a chance in the first half and Dunn had a header that was kind of cleared off near the goal line, but we had no sustained threat whatsoever. And pretty much every stat favoured Millwall. QPR may have had 60% possession, but 61% of our passes were in our own half. QPR had 14 touches in the Millwall box. That's less than half of the touches Millwall had, which was 31 in our box. An example of that as well, QPR had a bit of possession. I looked back and it was 1 minute and 20 seconds. We had the ball. And there was 19 passes in that time. So it was taking far too long on the ball. And the ball went from Nardi, Clark Salter, Nardi, Cook, Dunn, Cook, Clark Salter, Madsen, Cook, Dunn, Clark Salter, Madsen, Clark Salter, Madsen, Dunn. And I'll stop there because it's boring enough in real life. Never mind me reading that out. But you get the point. The ball was primarily going back and forward between our defenders all around the halfway line, which brings us on to the QPR tactics. And you actually mentioned it last week, Pal moving into central midfield whenever we have the ball, but it was so much more evident against Millwall. I think it's an inverted fullback, I think the modern term for it would be. There's some images of it on the screen now to highlight where Kenneth Pal kept moving to. What do you think the plan is with that, though, Dave?
Well, whatever the plan was, it didn't work anyway. But what they were trying to do with it is you get the extra man in midfield, it overloads it. You've got more players than them in midfield. It should create more space. There's different ways you could do it. Whichever way you do it, you've got to pass a hell of a lot faster than what we did last week. You need to get the ball into Powell quickly. He could make a quick pass, and then all of a sudden you're in on the opposition. You've got an extra player. You've got in on goal. You could switch the play to Dembele. It could be one-on-one with his fullback. There's plenty of ways you can do it. You see it work a lot at the top level with much better players than what we've got, but you see it work a lot of the time. But the reason it didn't work with us at the weekend was we just kept giving the ball every time the ball come into Powell. The other midfielders were stood right next to him. They weren't getting away. They weren't running into space for us to do anything. He just kept going back to the centre halves. And like you just said, it was a good example. That minute of possession, the ball was just going between the centre halves all the time. You need to take a risk and go forward. And with the extra man in midfield, that can work. But it didn't because we were so negative on the ball all the time. And it just took me back to the final days of Mark Warburton when he was in charge. And we seemed to do that a lot and couldn't take that risk to lose the ball. We just wanted to keep it all the time. And watching Andre Dezelle as well last year, his pass completion rate's brilliant, but he just passes back to Steve Cook all game. So you're not going anywhere. They need to take a few more risks if they're going to get anywhere this season.
Yeah, I mean, you're right to point out what it could achieve, but I don't know whether Kenneth Powell's maybe even moving into the right position. He seems to constantly move where there was an opposition player. So a lot of the time, and you can see it in the images, the only person Clark Salter can pass to is Steve Cook because Powell's in the middle, like I say, surrounded by opposition players. And there's no fullback for Clark Salter to play it out wide to because Kenneth Powell isn't there. Clark Salter effectively becomes the fullback himself. I also worry we're leaving ourselves very exposed if there's a quick turnover in possession because the gap between the centre halves becomes huge. I feel for it to work, maybe need faster defenders than what QPR have, but he's obviously trying it out. And another concern is if I was an opposition manager, I'd just be telling my right winger to go and hug the touchline that Kenneth Powell keeps leaving space there, obviously. And then you get your fullback as well to overload on that side every time. And there's another picture here, and this isn't a free kick. This is QPR in possession. Paul Nardi's almost at the halfway line because we just don't know how to move the ball quickly into attacking areas. And Mill will actually steal this within 10 seconds when it eventually goes typically out to Jimmy Dunn. They have a sustained period in our half, and the goal comes shortly after. It's like you said, we're just far, far too slow moving the ball. At least Marty Cifuentes did acknowledge that himself. But that image there is just one illustration from the game that our tactics are not really working. And like I said, we just wanted to highlight these tactics for those of you who maybe haven't seen our setup or as something to watch out for in the Blackburn game and beyond to see if we persist with it, whether we can improve or not. Because if we don't, it's not exactly great to watch. But I think you said it before, the main positive for QPR right now, isn't it, is that we're not losing these games.
Yeah, definitely. They're getting results out of them. Like, the performance was similar, like I said, at Sheffield Wednesday. They didn't really go anywhere with the ball for long periods of the game, but they're not getting beaten. They were a bit lucky against Millwall to not get beat. I mean, they missed a great chance towards the end that they really should have buried, and Nardi's made a couple of good saves. But they're staying in games, and, when they are falling behind, they're showing a lot of character to get back in it. That's probably when we actually look quite good when we fall behind. We seem to fight ourselves back in the game and then revert to type again. It is a bit of a work in progress with the squad at the minute. It's a lot of new players they're trying to embed into it. So I can see where the difficulties are, but it's not been a great week since we come back from the international break.
Yeah, he probably needs to send them out at the start of the game and tell them to imagine the 1-0 down because they'd maybe play a lot better. It's just been a bit of a strange start to the season overall. 7 weeks since QPR lost a league game, but we have that odd record where we're scoring every game, but we've still not kept a clean sheet. We've drawn 4 league games, outright the highest in the league. Nobody in the country's actually drawn more than QPR so far. And it feels like if we lose a game, I feel the QPR fans are going to be up in arms. And it feels like we're on a knife edge which way we go from here in the short term, because it feels like one of those moments where if we beat Blackburn, everything's looked great, doesn't it? But if we lose, you're then talking about a QPR side that's gone over a month since they won. There's only 1 league win this season. Like I say, it does feel like it's in the balance which QPR go. But as I said at the start, and we'd get onto it, perspective is needed, the bigger picture, so to speak, because regardless of recent performances, we've hit the point where Marty Cifuentes has been in charge for 38 league games, same amount as Neil Critchley and Gareth Ainsworth combined. We put some stats up on Twitter, we still call it his X now, do whatever. The turnaround in every single area, it's just genuinely remarkable. And when you consider where we were when he took over, yes, we're having a few teething issues this season, but overall, it's still amazing what he's achieved in those games compared to what was before, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, he's done a brilliant job from where he come in. And we've said it a lot of times. I mean, we were absolute mess when he come in. And, he kept us up, and we got so many good wins last season and played so well second half of the season. The last few performances have been frustrating, and, you have to point out, you have to say what you've seen. But results-wise, we're doing okay this year. And although I do agree with you, I think there will be a bit of panic if we lose the game soon. I think long-term we're going to be okay this season, and it just feels to me like a squad that's going to get better as it goes along and the more it plays together. He just needs to try and find the right balance, and he's searching for it in the minute in midfield, and he hasn't quite found it yet. And I'm not sure what it is. I mean, I'm sure he's trying to work it out as well.
Yeah, I have no doubt he is looking at it as we are. He's going to adapt and change things. He's shown since he took over that he will adapt and change when he needs to. He's learning with every game what the new players can and can't do. I think overall, since he's took over, the fact that we've got like double the wins from the people before, double the points, how he stopped us shipping the goals, like I say, remarkable is the only word for it. And I just think he's going to have to prove himself to be adaptable again. It certainly makes an interesting point of the season, though, already as we head to Blackburn. And our win over Blackburn in February was, of course, our first win at Ewood Park since 1999. Also snapped a run of 4 straight defeats against Blackburn, who remain a bogey side for QPR. It's only 6 QPR wins in the last 35 games against Blackburn. So anyone hoping for back-to-back wins at Ewood Park, it's wishful thinking, I think, but we'll see. A lot of pre-season predictions had Blackburn tipped to struggle. I think they were actually amongst the bookies' favourites to finish dead last. but they're unbeaten in the league in the opening 6 games. It's been an impressive start for them, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't fancy him to do well at all this year. I thought they'd struggle. They almost went down last year. They had to win on the last game to stay up, but they've been really good. Just probably shows what a good manager John Eustace is. What he's done there. He was good done similar at Birmingham last year, and had them up around the playoffs early in the season, and they've been good. They've looked exciting going forward. They've got a fair few goals in them. They've signed some new attacking players. Um, it's been a really good start for them, and you know all the games are tough, in this division, but this looks a difficult one, especially given our record up there.
Yeah, I mean, for them, it's been win, draw, win, draw, win, draw so far. The pattern, winning all 3 home games, drawing all 3 away. So QPR need to break that pattern to have any hope. I agree on John Eustace. He just seems to me to be one of those managers who will win games and get points at this level. And we have to give him a lot of credit because after losing Sammy Smodjic, he scored 27 goals, which was almost half of all their goals. At any level, it's never easy to replace that when it comes out of your side. And to think that they're averaging 2 a game, despite not even scoring last week against Preston, very impressive. They've brought in lots of championship experience: Lewis Baker, Danny Barth, Andreas Ryman, and then sprinkled the squad with a few Premier League loans, some imports like Ohashi, already on 5 goals. Why couldn't Jan Salah hit the ground running like he's done? But I suspect we're at the point where, are they going to dip off? Probably we're playing them too early. It feels to me, I don't know if you agree, like we're playing them just at the wrong time.
Yeah, I think so. I think they will dip off. I don't think they're going to finish around the top, but they've probably shown that they won't be in as much trouble as they were last year. But yeah, it's not an ideal time to play them when they're bagging form and we don't look in form at the minute. We're still trying to search for what our best team is and our best way of playing. So it's probably not an ideal time to play them. But we're talking about they look a good side, but they're not unbeatable. Blackburn, they've had a good start to the season, but we're not playing Man City here. They're good, but we can go there and get something.
Yeah, you're searching for the positives. I like it.
I would be, yeah.
Yeah, but don't forget they're going to be confident. QPR still trying to find the way, as we discussed. On paper, it feels like a tough one. They did play on Sunday, so maybe QPR had an extra 24 hours to prepare, but with no midweek games, shouldn't make a difference. They did have a defender who was actually linked with QPR in the summer, Beck. He was sent off. So they will have to make one change at least in defence, which could maybe unsettle them. We will see. For QPR, we keep saying it every week. Marty Cifuentes, he's chopping and changing. Nobody can guess the team he's going to play game to game. It's left us disjointed, is the word you keep seeing all the time when it comes to QPR at the moment. One bit of confirmation is an injury for Liam Morrison. They posted a picture of his knee after some surgery, so we know he's going to be out for a while. We don't know quite how long. So I think we can all agree the defence will stay the same, barring any other injuries. We know Michael Frey is going to start up front, but in midfield, where do we start? I guess we start with Lucas Anderson. He doesn't look the same player, does he?
No, he was poor in both games he played in last week, Sheffield Wednesday and the Millwall one. To be fair to him, he doesn't hide and he kept wanting the ball and he kept trying to get on it. But I think every time he seemed to get it, he's done something worse. He had such a poor game. Yeah, he had one chance in the first half where the keeper made a good save and, that might have put things different for him. But yeah, everything he tried just didn't come off. He just looked slow. He just kept giving the ball away. His set pieces were poor. Yeah, he struggled a lot. We know he's got quality, so I think he'll probably. I don't know if he'll play definitely on Saturday, but he'll definitely be featured in the next few games. He'll come good again, I think. But again, as I say, he's just trying to find that balance. And I mean, when he plays with Madsen, to me, they're both kind of the same sort of player. So you can't. I don't think you can play both of them because they're both trying to get in the same position all the time. So it's difficult, and he just needs to find that balance of the players he's got.
Yeah, you mentioned the set pieces there. It's incredibly frustrating that Anderson's been taking them, hitting the front man most times when we've scored from 3 Dembele corners. I don't understand that one. For me, it looks like he's lost a little bit of confidence in his body. We have to acknowledge his role in the goal last week for a start, but that was the only pass for me in the whole game that he did nice and sharp. Didn't think about it. Nice, quick pass. Every other time he was just taking far too long to decide what to do. And he did it against Luton even before the international break. He got in the box and was just unsure where to go, where the players were. He maybe just needs to simplify it and play his natural game. Just the elements that he's overthinking it, perhaps. You mentioned Nicholas Madsen, the same for me with him. It's like we've got 2 Lucas Andersons in the team, very, very similar. He started games already in 3 different positions. So again, Marty Cifuentes not sure where to play him, remains a work in progress. Alfie Lloyd and Paul Smith, they came off the bench last week and were barely involved. Can you see either of them taking a starting place this week?
Lloyd's the only one I think might start the game. I mean, he sometimes starts Smith away from home for his pace, but I don't think he will this weekend. I think he'll probably go. I think it'll be one of Madsen and Anderson as the third midfielder, and then I think the two wide players might stay the same. I think it might be Dembele and Saito again out wide.
Yeah, I think it could be Saito. It depends again if Jack Colback's back, because if Colback plays, Madsen's going to be probably further forward. If Colback's out, it's a question of then, is it Madsen playing deeper or potentially Varane? I think it could be Varane away from home if Colback can't make it, because he's a bit more combative, isn't he?
Yeah.
But we haven't got a clue. I don't think Marty Cifuentes would have a no. It's one of those where not knowing our best 11 at the moment is not helping QPR at all. But somebody who's definitely going to be starting, and we've kind of overlooked him from week to week, but I wanted to make sure we mentioned him this week, is Paul Nardi. He's proven to be a very, very good signing, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been excellent. He's done really well. I thought he kept us in the game last week. He made a really good save near the end to keep us in it. He seems good with the ball at his feet. I mean, he's seen a lot of it, and the way we played last weekend, he was on the ball a lot. But you just feel a bit more confident in him than we did with Begovic last season. I mean, he's not kept a clean sheet or anything yet, so he's still got stuff to work on. But you just feel a bit calm with him in goal. He just seems like he's got a good presence about him. He's been coming and claiming corners and things like that. I think he's done really well so far.
Yeah, I think that thing you just said there is exactly how I feel. When you sat in the stand with him in net, you have a confidence about him that you never, ever had with Asmir Begovic. You were always waiting for Begovic to make a mistake. Luckily, Nardi's hit the ground running. And when we think of his save when we were 1-0 down at Luton, that's our only league win so far. So that was crucial. Yeah. Like you said, the saves on Saturday, it's not too much of a stretch to say we'd probably be a lot lower down the table, if not near the bottom of 3 without him so far. So fingers crossed he can keep that going. And let's finish with our predictions. Can we end Blackburn's 100% home record?
I'm hopeful. I do think this is a tough one. I don't like the early kickoff time again, and they're in great form. But I think we can get another draw up there. I'm not expecting a massive improvement on the last few performances, but they've got something about them, this Rangers team, and I think they can go there and get a draw, maybe 1-1 again.
Yeah, hopefully we do show that resilience. That has been one of the main key points for us over the first few months of the first few weeks of the season. But if you haven't picked up on it in the vibe of the show so far, I'm worried about this one. Blackburn flying at home, full of confidence. QPR need a big improvement from that Millwall performance. And I also think it's too much to ask, like I touched on before, for us to win back-to-back games at Ewood Park. I think we're going to lose 2-0, but I hope I'm miles off of that, especially as I'm taking my little boy to this one. So hopefully we can get some points. Let us know your thoughts on the tactics and your predictions for this one in the comments, as always. Brian is away on holiday, so I'll be back again for the midweek preview, as George Sharp will join me to look ahead to Tuesday's home match against Hull City. And then Dave will be back with me ahead of next weekend's trip to Derby County. Then it's another international break already. How is that even possible? But thanks for watching. Thanks for your time. And come on, you arse.
We know who we are. You know who we are. We are QPR.